Hello, 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 and welcome back to another edition of the Brothas-in-law. I am your host tonight, Corey Taylor, and I am joined with my brother from another mother, Mr. Michael Bradley. For those of you who are new to our show, Mike and I are both retired police officers. I am a former Virginia State trooper with 7 years of service, and Mike retired from the Pleasanton, California Police Department. And tonight we got a nice little video here to show you guys, and we'll break down and dissect it, involving a young man back in our home state of Ohio that took place on the either 23rd or 24th of this month of July. Yeah. And so before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit that notification button to stay up to date with all our latest videos that we will be coming out with. Thank you for all those who tuned in last week for our first live show. Mike and I look forward to doing that again here soon in the near future. Mike, before we get started, man, welcome. How was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was real good. Ready to get into some stuff here.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Like I said, this started, this happened, I should say, back on the 23rd or 24th. Over this past weekend, and again, this happened in Columbus, Ohio. What happened was a young man was coming into a gas station, I believe it was a Speedway, and was being very disruptive. I guess coming into the store, the clerk asked him to leave. He refused to leave. Then the police came, and then we'll just see what happens from there. And then
real quick,
go ahead.
Real quick, I think it's important too that we explain that there had been a lot of problems at this particular station, or I'm sorry, store.
Yeah.
And so they had officers in that area for those problems. As a matter of fact, it was my understanding after looking at one of the videos by the chief of this police department is that they had so many problems. They actually created a special assignment for this officer to be patrolling this particular store or gas station. And, so that gives you some insight of the problems they've been having at this place. And so police are going to be a lot more proactive, maybe a little bit more aggressive in dealing with people at this particular location because of those particular issues, So we should, as long as our viewers got that in mind,
sure,
that, they got a better, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, okay. And that was going to come out in the video too. Okay, well, why did the police come out? There, but that's definitely a good point.
Of course, they only start a video at the confrontation, at the physical altercation. They never show the video at what led up to that. That's the most important right there. But go ahead.
Yeah, you really don't get a big. You don't get the whole context of what happened, what led up to this. And this is, go back to, what we were saying in previous videos, how, they people record these videos and they post them, and then, you automatically react to what you see without having the whole context of what happened, what led up to these events. And and this is what we're trying to say, don't rush to judgment every time somebody posts one of these videos. And, you just automatically take out to the streets and become destructive. And now it's just, white police officer harassing or beating up or shooting another black person. So we'll go ahead and get into this. We'll break it down, let you know what we think about it. Again, it's just going to be our opinions. We're not lawyers or anything like that. We're just bringing our law enforcement experience to the forefront to give you the inside mindset of what a reasonable police officer would do in these type of situations. So here we go.
This gentleman just asked somebody what he was doing wrong inside of a gas station, and now he's being accosted. The Speedway on High Street. He's not doing anything wrong. He walked in the door, got told he was acting funny, and he was not acting funny.
Yeah. And to some people, it's going to make it seem like that, the officer just walked into the store and just started a confrontation with this man who happens to be black.
Right. Then this person, you said this is a family member that entered.
I don't know who she is. I guess she knows this individual.
Okay. And she even starts getting involved in the fight, trying to break the officer and the cashier guy, I guess, off of this guy.
Yeah.
Very bad. Very bad.
Very bad.
Now she is a threat.
Yep. Now she's a threat. And that's it,
Yeah.
And people will see this and,
This is the first monocular.
Let me stop that.
Professional nature photographer invented this insightful monocular.
So, and then you hear a lady in the background. I'm assuming this is the lady that's videotaping the thing on her cell phone about how he did nothing wrong. Well, clearly she must have didn't see the stuff that happened that caused the police to be called in the first place.
Right.
Now, it's my understanding after we watched that video where there was another video where the chief was making statements, right? And after watching that video, it was clear that, it sounds like the officer, when he got there, he explained to the guy that you were trespassing, they want you to leave. Now, oftentimes, I've handled 100 calls for service dealing with this kind of issue where we get to a business and there's a customer in there causing a disturbance, and the store clerk wants them to leave, and the store clerk has every right to demand that someone leave their property. When you go into a gas station, when you go into a store, people need to understand, although it's open to the public, it is private property. So if you go in there and you start causing a commotion or causing a disturbance, that clerk can tell you that you need to leave. They don't have to allow you to stay inside their store. Number one, you're interrupting business. You're disrupting other customers who might be there trying to do business peacefully, and you are interrupting the cashier themselves. So, again, this was a place that had multiple problems. I think that she said they had 95 calls for service, like within the last, month or something like that?
Yeah,
that's
90,
a lot.
95 calls for service since the beginning of this year.
Since the beginning of this year. That's a lot. That's a lot. And that clearly tells you that this store owner / store clerk has dealt with this problem far too often, to the point where they requested a special assignment of the officers to be present at that store. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is a true testament of the amount of trouble, like you just said, they have there, and it happens. Again, this is one of those things where you say, you defund the police, you cut special programs like this out of communities. Because of their funding, they're able to create a position like this. I mean, just think now, this type of stuff happens throughout the country, right? In these stores. Now, I know I've came up on scene sometimes when I'm going to get me a cup of coffee or a snack or something like that and roll up to the store, and, the guys at the counter being disruptive with the clerk, and I just happen to say, everything all right? I'm like, no, he need to leave. Hey, all right, buddy, you heard what they just said. Either you can leave freely, or I will escort you out the store, and you won't like how I'm going to escort you out the store.
Right, because if I got to go hands on you, I'm not going to be doing it nice.
I'm not. Okay? Right, and it boils down to common courtesy, common respect for your fellow citizen. When you go into a store, why do you have to act that way? Why do you have to show your tail end? You go in there, you handle your business, get what you need, and you leave. You know, again, this was at 11:55 at night. Still, the time doesn't matter, whether it's midnight or first thing cracking in the morning down when the store opens. You know, you shouldn't come in there showing your tail end, which he did. And apparently they do it a lot in this area in Columbus. So, you know, the officer had no choice but to go hands on. He refused to leave the store.
Yeah, if you refuse to leave the store, I'm gonna ask you. First. I'll be calm, and I'm gonna ask you as the officer. You need to leave. The store clerk here, who is in charge of the store at this particular time, has demanded that you leave the store. This is private property, so you have to leave. So I'm going to tell you that when I get there as the officer, I'm going to tell you that, and I'm going to say it just like you said, Corey. You know, you got to leave. Period. You see what I'm saying? This is not open for discussion. If you want to discuss it, we can discuss it outside. You got to leave first, and I'll be more than happy to hear what you have to say once we get outside the store. But we're not going to argue inside the store. And apparently that's what happened with this particular individual. When the officer asked him to leave, he refused to leave. Matter of fact, then starts getting physical with the officer. Well, if you refuse to leave, then you're gonna be arrested for trespassing. Okay. Yeah. If you tell me I'm not leaving, and I told you that you have to leave, the elements of that crime of trespassing, as far as California laws are concerned, have been met. That I then can arrest you for trespassing, and you ain't leaving to go home at that point. You're leaving to go to jail.
You're going to jail.
Now, once I say you under arrest and I'm putting handcuffs on you, there is no going back. There is no saying, you know what, that's all right. Forget about it. I'm gonna just let you go.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, if you start fighting, now we're in a physical altercation. Again, don't fight with the police.
Yeah.
If you are told to leave by the police, leave. That's it. All you have to do.
Something so simple as that. Now he has multiple charges being filed against him.
Yeah.
You know, and also too, I want to make a point too that we didn't see this in the video. I don't know at what point it happened, but at some point in this video, the officer sprayed the gentleman with mace or OC spray. I don't think it had any effect on him, and that's what we say a lot of times. You know, the OC spray doesn't affect a lot of people, just like the taser doesn't affect a lot of people. It's not 100% guaranteed that you activate that taser and you or deploy the taser doesn't necessarily mean that person is going to go down to the ground. It is our hope that they do, but it didn't. Now the guy swinging, you know, at this point it's a hands-on fist fight. You know, deadly force is still not authorized in this situation. The guy has no weapons, although his hands are a weapon. He's got to go through his process with the tools that he has. What's not working? What does he have to do to bring this threat now to an end?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So would he have been wrong if he had pulled out his service weapon?
I mean, wrong is, you know, when you're talking about an open fight where anything goes, at this point, number one, he's by himself. That other person there I'm assuming was the store clerk who was helping him, which is not illegal, by the way. Some people might say, why is the store clerk getting involved like that? Well, hey, if an officer's by himself, that officer can actually ask someone to help him. You see what I'm saying? And it's not illegal for that citizen, i.e. the store clerk, to jump in and assist the officer in trying to restrain someone. That can happen. So, but like to get back on track, once you get in that physical altercation, pretty much anything goes. Let's say, would I have shot this guy if I were in this position as an officer and I'm trying to fight with this guy like that? Would I have pulled my service weapon out? Probably not. Not at that point. You see what I'm saying? But that's easy for me to sit here in the nice comforts of tranquility. You know what I'm saying? When you're not involved in the fight right now, to say that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the point where I'm trying to make here is, what if you had an officer who would have pulled their gun out at that situation and may have even shot? You see what I'm saying? That's why you don't fight with the police like that. When you start fighting, you have changed the whole dynamic of that call for service. You have changed the whole dynamic of that particular incident. You know, this could have probably been a, hey, just leave and that's the end of this. Now would have been it.
It probably would have been, hey man, leave, don't come back. I don't want to see you here no more.
Right.
I'm sorry, but you're just gonna have to find another gas station to get your gas from, or get your Scooby snacks from, whatever the case may be. You have to find another venue to go to. This one is off limits to you. And I think at that point it would have been, the store would have to ban them from it. But I say, as long as I'm working here, man, I don't want to see you around here again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have to protect and serve the public. And when you have areas that have an enormous amount of criminal activity going on, this is what happens. The police have to be there. The police have to show a presence there to stop these things. And they happen so frequently at this shop. Who knows what would have happened if the police took 30 minutes to get there because they were on another call for service. Because it's happened so frequently, like we said earlier a few minutes ago, this is why they had to create a position here so somebody stays within this area, and that's all they do, answer those calls for service for that area,
right,
or that particular shopping center. So obviously there's a problem within that neighborhood with criminal activity going on. And so, police have to be there for this. So I can't get mad at what this officer is doing. He's doing his job.
Yeah,
that most only had to, and even still, the CALM acronym still comes into play here because had this guy just stay calm, listen, answer the question, hey, what's going on? Why are you here? Did you get what you want? Whatever the case may be. All right, now, hey, listen to me now. I'm trying to tell you this is what you need to do. Don't come back here. All right, now we have to move on. We're out the store. All right, guys, now you get to move on. But his move on ended totally different. Luckily, he ain't lose his life. That would, like you said, that would have changed the whole dynamic of everything.
And I might even take it a little further. I mean, what if he would have had some kind of heart condition or something, and you fighting with the police? The police, when they finally do get you handcuffed, you have a heart attack, or en route to the hospital, or whatever medical clearance we need to do for you. You have a heart attack and die, right? Then they're gonna come back on the police and say, well, why did you guys do this to this guy? You were the cause of him having a heart attack. Well, yeah, the cause of him having a heart attack was being in a physical confrontation that he created. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's another issue that you'll commonly see in cases like this, where they'll say, where the officers caused that injury, or they caused that person to die. Well, that's not the case. You had a heart condition, number one, and you decided to cause a physical confrontation with the police. You see what I'm saying? And like you said, Corey, when you have a problem with a particular area for where they had to actually create a special assignment for it, okay, you are going to be a lot more proactive in dealing with people in that area. This guy probably was a problem in the store. That's why the police were called there. Okay. He probably was going to continue to be a problem in the store. I don't know if he was homeless. I don't know if he just liked to frequent that store or whatever, but whatever was probably going on, right? He showed that he was going to continue to be a problem in that store. Now, as an officer, you're right. You're going to be more aggressive with this guy and get him off the property, tell him not to come back, because you don't want this guy to be a problem in the future. So, as an officer, if I were that officer patrolling that area, I already got this guy in here fighting with me. I'm going to do whatever I can to arrest this guy and at least book him into jail so I don't have to deal with him too soon later. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and that's normal. That's normal. That's how policing is done, and that's how you try to keep the problems at that particular store at bay. Now, the other thing I have is this other person who entered the store, who either knew this guy or was whatever her relationship was to this guy.
Yeah.
She also starts punching, hitting the cop, hitting everybody to try to get them to release. That is, we really need to stop encouraging people that they have a right to physically fight the police. That's my main concern right there. Because we did this job. We don't want to get physically hurt. We don't want to have to put our hands on nobody. You see what I'm saying? And we really need to stop encouraging citizens that if you disagree with that police officer, you can go ahead and fight him. That's what it seems like the message is in a lot of these incidents that I see. And that's what it's doing. It's encouraging our young folks to go ahead and get into physical fights. You don't have to listen to that officer. Let me tell you something, folks. If that officer is going to arrest you, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. That is what the courts are for. You take your problem to court and you fight in court. If that officer at the scene has made up his or her mind that they're going to arrest you, they're going to arrest you. And they're going to use whatever force they need or feel they need to use to accomplish that. They're not just going to walk away. Okay? By you fighting them only makes that work. Now, that lady who entered the store who tried to get into the fight and actually assault that officer, that's another charge on her too. That's a criminal act. You cannot interfere with a police officer who is trying to arrest someone. And when I say interfere, what I mean by that is you can't do something that's physically trying to stop that officer from carrying out what he or she feels is their lawful duty to do. You can't do that. And not only that, if you do that, you also are opening up that situation into other possibilities that are unneeded. Maybe like I said before earlier, maybe you will have an officer who will feel threatened enough to pull their firearm out and shoot you. Okay.
I mean, she could have got shot, you know, because now he's got to worry about the guy he's fighting. He's got to worry about her if she's gonna, you know, come back into the store with a weapon, or is she going to get somebody else to say that little Timmy here is getting, you know, jumped by the police and another white guy. And so she brings in two, you know, it could have went way south. So like we said in our live we did last week, the best thing you can do is be a witness. Now, the lady that was recording, again, if you don't know the whole story, don't go and just start putting out misinformation and you don't even know the whole context of it. You just walk up on it. Oh, the police is getting an altercation with this person, and start filming. Just, oh, he didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing. Well, people are gonna believe you. The times we live in, when people see stuff on TV or on their computers or phones or whatever they're watching videos on, they're more likely to believe it. Well, he must not have did something, because you have a white police officer scuffling with a black person. So the way the narrative is set up now, black man, he ain't never do nothing wrong. The police are just always wrong. Now, when you look at the whole context, no, that guy, he was wrong. And just like in a lot of these other videos, look at the whole context of the video before you go jumping off the deep end and just, you know, want to yell racial slurs and police this, police that. They just gun it down. Please. No, this guy was wrong. He's in a high crime area where they have a lot of call for services, and this guy needed to be removed from the store and refused to leave the store. And now you have this altercation. And instead of staying calm and following the acronym, complying, answer questions, moving on. No, he moved on all right. He moved on right on to jail. Now, I don't know how lax the Ohio laws are, maybe he'd have been out. He's probably, out of jail now or whatever.
Maybe I understand that they tried to file a criminal trespass charge. That's what he was arrested for. They filed a criminal trespass charge against him. Maybe those charges were dropped. But people got to understand what the courts do is separate from what police do. Make decisions after arrest. That's their job. They have to manage their caseloads. Maybe a criminal trespass isn't an important crime for the courts to deal with based on their workload. That doesn't mean that the officers on the officers' end, they're not supposed to arrest you for criminal trespass. Oh, they will. We make arrests all the time on law violations, and there's a lot of times the courts don't charge it, but it's not because the arrest was wrong or because that officer shouldn't have arrested that person. It's because the courts have to manage their caseloads too. They may get 1,000 criminal trespasses a month. You see what I'm saying? Well, they may not have the manpower or time to charge every last one of them. You know what I'm saying? So as an officers, we know that. Nate, we used to always talk about that in our briefings when I was an officer, about how don't let the court's decisions dictate what you're supposed to do out there on the street. If you need to make an arrest, you make
that arrest. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't worry about, well, they're not going to charge that. No, you don't worry about it like that. If you need to make an arrest, you make an arrest. And the big thing that I want to nail home is we have got, just because you don't agree with what an officer is doing to you on the street does not give you the authority to physically resist that officer. It just doesn't. You can't just start fighting an officer because you don't want to be arrested or you don't think you should be arrested. Doesn't work that way. Okay. You take that up in court, not on the street.
That's right. And so let us know what you think about this video here. Did the officer act reasonably in this type of situation here? Did he use the right amount of force, you think, to try to get this individual out? Now, eventually, I do believe backup did come for him to assist, and he was able to get the guy detained, obviously. This is how fast these things unfold, and we have to, when we see them as citizens, we need to step back and wait and make sure we got the full context of the situation before we go, rushing to judgment and just, have a more hatred for law enforcement when we need to be, supporting law enforcement. Because I'm telling you, having doing this job, I mean, it's not an easy job, and
No,
Mike, you can attest to it as well. So, I thank God that I did do this job, because it gave me, a different insight to what an officer has to go through on a daily basis. And it's a dangerous profession, and
it's becoming more dangerous today because it just seems like there is this war on cops, and in many ways it seems like we're teaching a whole younger generation of how to be rebellious and fight with authority. And yes, folks, like it or not, the police are authority. They are an authority. They should be an authority. They're supposed to be an authority. And there are always ways that we can improve on stuff, sure. But you should never, what's the word I'm looking for? You should never take away from the authority of the police. And you should always encourage, you got to teach our younger generation, you can't fight with the cops. You don't fight with police. You're just opening it up for many possibilities, both that could be very bad. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that way. Your interaction with law enforcement should not have to end with you dying. Like we said, this is the whole point behind us teaching staying calm. Breaking that calm word down to these 4 principles of complying, answering questions, listening, and moving on. When you do these things, when you're with law enforcement or interacting with law enforcement, there's no reason why you should end up in an altercation with police, because I've said it plenty of times on here, and especially as as a trooper, I'm not gonna fight you on the side of the road. We're not gonna have whole court on the side of the road, as Mike just said a few minutes ago. This is not the place for it, and it's going to end bad, right? But we know it's not our viewers who need this talking. But you know, if you like for Mike and I to cam up with a group of people to talk about interaction with law enforcement, how you should conduct yourself, hit us up on Facebook and send me your number, or send Mike your number, and we'll get in contact. We'll set up a StreamYard conference call where we get multiple people on here, and we can talk it out. Or if you want us to come to you, we can come to you and talk about staying calm, because that's important. That's what's going to help us cut down on a lot of these incidents that don't have to end in somebody getting killed. But we also got to take responsibility for ourselves too, Mike. I mean, these young folks out here got to stop committing crimes. You don't want interaction with law enforcement. Stop committing crimes. Act
true.
like you got some sense. Act like, you know, your favorite relative who used to pop you in the back of the head every time you did something wrong. Pretend that favorite relative of yours is always right there with you. And you do something wrong, you go reach for that candy bar to try to steal that candy bar. Aunt Lulu right there with that yardstick to pop you in the back of the head. All right. And put that candy bar back. Right.
Yeah,
we have to change this. Yes, police are going to do their part, but we as citizens, we have to do our part, and we have to stop committing crimes. Stop beating your girlfriends up. Stop beating your wife up. Stop carrying firearms around if you know you're a convicted felon. Stop. Stop. And don't quit acting stupid when you get busted with having a firearm. And don't get mad because your butt's going to get carried out to jail because you're a convicted felon, and you know you're convicted. A convicted felon, because you know the lifestyle you live in, you know the criminal activity you involved in, you know you're not supposed to be around any type of a firearm or any weapon, period. You are, guess what? You're going to jail. You know that. So don't get mad at the police when they're doing a job to take your butt to jail, back to lockup. It's your fault. You're there. You put yourself in that position. All right. So we have to do our part as well as citizens and letting our youth know that you got to stop. You want this stuff to stop, you got to stop too. And then the shootings will stop.
That's true. Now, the other side of that coin, yeah, they're bad cops on the street.
Absolutely.
This is why what we're telling you goes towards dealing with any cop, no matter what kind of cop you run on the street.
That's right.
Is it realistic to say, well, we should erase all bad cops will be erased from any police agency across the country? I think that's kind of unrealistic. Yeah, we want that. That'd be great in the perfect society. Well, in the perfect society, there's no criminals, right? But yeah, there's going to be some bad cops. There's going to be some cops ranging from different ages, from different life experiences, from different backgrounds, with different prejudices and with different biases. That's all. I think that's always going to be there. You see what I'm saying? And when we come across those bad cops, we need to address them and get them out of the system.
And remove. That's right.
I got no problem with that.
That's right.
Corey and I will be the first ones to say, yeah, that you messed up.
That's right.
But there's levels to this, because there's some cops out there who might make some bad decisions, but that don't mean they're bad cops either, too. You also have that level, too. You might have some cops that do make some dumb decisions. Yeah, you probably should have done that, you know. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they shouldn't be cops anymore, because we all make mistakes. Yeah, some mistakes shouldn't be made, obviously. But there are some mistakes that, yeah, I could see somebody making that mistake, whether it's through lack of experience on the job or whatever that is. You got to do the job to get the experience, right?
That's right.
So, you know, so we are with you on that end too. But
absolutely.
That does not overweigh the fact that you shouldn't be fighting with police no matter who you are dealing with. You see what I'm saying? You shouldn't be fighting with police at all. If the police, you should look at them as they have the utmost authority. And it's not really about, you're not supposed to do that. You can't do that. It's really not about that. if I know I'm on the up and up and I'm doing what I need to do, I'm gonna give that police officer whatever he or she needs to make them feel comfortable that what you're doing here is working, and I'm not a criminal, and this is what if I need to show you this, that, and the other, but I got no problem with that. Any upstanding average citizen would have no problem. I'm not going to ask and challenge you on something that's not going to, you see what I'm saying, really affect me. Okay, I see that a lot where you got some people, I don't want to give you my name, I don't want you to run me for warrants. Well, okay, that I understand there's laws where you don't have to always provide, and this might be another show, Corey.
Yeah.
But I know there's laws that you don't have to ID yourself to police officers in certain respects. But what I'm saying is, I got no problem with any officer knowing my name. Hey, here you go. Here's my ID. You can do what you need to do with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I live. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm living. I don't need to challenge anything like that.
Right. The faster you give the information, the faster I can get on down the road, because I know I didn't do nothing wrong.
If officer come in and tell me that I need to leave someplace, okay, I'm out.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
I'm out. Simple as that.
Gone. Yeah,
you know?
I'm gone.
Well,
all right. Especially, you ain't supposed to be there from the jump. All right, I'm leaving, and go. Hey man, it's time to go home. So, all right, folks, let us know what you think about this video. Like, share, and subscribe. Please leave us a comment for future shows you would like for us to do. Let's see. Again, if you want us to get with you to discuss this with your church group or Sunday school group, or get a group of mothers together to give you some pointers of what we think would help and guide your teenage son or daughters through this, so that everybody knows that, yes, I have a role in this too. As a citizen, we have a role in this too. Please hit us up on Facebook at the Brothas-in-law, and we'll reach out to you and we'll set something up. Other than that, y'all have a blessed week/weekend, and we will see y'all next week. Mike, you got any final words?
No, that's it. Stay safe.
All right, y'all, stay safe. Peace.
Peace.